Hi, I'm Jill Clifton of Landscape of Mothers, and I wanted to talk a little bit about Landscape of Mothers as a process. So, Landscape of Mothers is not prescriptive. That is, it's not a series of if you just do these behaviors, then everything will be fine. Instead, it's a more subtle process, and it's more encompassing than just changing our behavior. We actually want to change our relationships. And that often means that we need some model for learning how we really want to be in relationship with ourselves, with others, with children, with friends, with a partner. And Landscape of Mothers is a template. And it's a way to begin to orient to your inner landscape. Right, so if you've been doing healing work for a while, you've probably heard of the mother wound, and there is important work to be done around the wound itself, right? The ways that our needs weren't met, the ways we weren't met, the ways we weren't reflected as children, and there's some obviously work to be done there, and I think that's probably best done in therapy. It's very individual, and it can bring up painful things that we need one-on-one support with. But the other thing we need when we're addressing the mother wound is another way to fortify and grow our inner mother, so that we can behave in a different way, so we can relate to folks in different ways. And in this era of appropriation and things, I think often we all kind of turn towards cultures that still have this culture of being caring, of being together, of belonging. We kind of turn toward those as a model. And I think we do it from our wounded place, the place where we don't know what we're looking for or looking at. And we try to reconstruct based on those principles that exist in other cultures. And I think there's another way to go about it, and that is to orient toward nature. And nature has solved these relationship problems over and over again, just the same way that nature has solved some physics level or medicinal level issues. We can look to nature for how does nature fight bacterial infections? How does nature create a wing? How does nature do this stuff? So nature solved a huge number of issues over the millennia. And we can also look to nature for our sense of culture and belonging. Nature is really good at reflecting back to us what it is that's kind of up in the moment. That is, we can go to nature, and often the things that we notice or the same way we approach a story, right? If we're approaching like a fairy tale or a myth, the things that stand out to us are the things that we're working on, right? There may be so much more in that story, but we go to the story to find the pieces and parts that we are working on. And we can do this with nature. Nature is a story. Nature is a process. Nature has solved a lot of problems. And when we can find our way back to those natural spaces, we can find ourselves in it. And so Landscape of Mothers encourages, what does mountain mean to you? What does that feel like? How do you orient from that place of stability, of a mountain? How does the river reflect what we do in order to flow in a particular direction, right? We often need the edges of the river. We need the banks. And what does that mean? So we can look to nature metaphorically, and we do it in these really big, landscape kind of ways. We can also do it in much more particular or direct ways. So we can have a nature practice where we go looking for things that intrigue us or feel significant to us, and we can sit with those and translate them back into our lives. And in this way, we can sort of rewild ourselves, right? I'm not the first person to think that. And so there's lots of resources out there for how do we rewild? How do we orient toward nature in a way that lets us figure out what it is that we need in any particular moment, right? And Landscape of Mothers offers 8 places to start. I think they're foundational and they're important, and they can give us guidance that we can't necessarily get from other places. And one of the reasons it's so hard for us to, when we try to do that work with other human beings, which I also think is very important, we need to have a foundation where we know ourselves, where we know what we need, where we know what we're looking for, and we know what's important to us. And so we can get that from this foundation of working with these 8 nature archetypes in Landscape of Mothers. So just a little bit of orientation and what's up here. This process of looking towards nature is not something that we necessarily need other human beings for. So it's something that we can all do no matter our mobility or our capacities or whatever. We can work with nature in these ways too. So welcome to Landscape of Mothers. I hope that it works as a foundation for you. It did for me. It doesn't have to be yours, but if you're looking for something like this, looking for some place to begin, Landscape of Mothers is a great place. Thanks for being here.